right, thanks for coming, everybody. We're obviously excited to be here in Hamilton, and fire away with anything you got.
Kyle, what's your take on the goaltending situation right now for the team? Yeah, you start on an easy one.
My take on it is we've got two guys that have been good goaltenders. I mean, Jack played at an all-star level this year. Peter Mrazek's been in the league. I think he's almost played 300 games in net or nearing that, and has been a good goaltender in his career. And Peter, I think especially of late, I mean, he's had a game against Minnesota at home and at Washington is very good. I don't think goaltending was the issue in the last game, and I think we tend to get a little bit game to game in this marketplace, and I'm not concerned about either one of them. I think they both have shown themselves to be good goalies, and they will be.
Is the priority, Kyle, I know you're always looking to improve the team however you can, but priority in the next 10 days or whatever we're down to now, a couple of weeks, another defenseman, or how do you see that?
I think, Terry, we take it day by day. I mean, we've got to see where Jake is at in his recovery.
Right.
We're really happy with Lyubushkin and the way that he's played since he's come in. And the last couple of games we've experimented with guys going in and out. I think it's a team defensive thing. It's not so much in particular on defense. We've shown of late, especially against good teams, that we're able to defend really well as a group. And then when we let our foot off the gas a little bit, like on Wednesday night, it's ugly. And so that's going to be on our group to continue to work on that. And I know Sheldon, the coaching staff, are hard at it, and excited to see as they come through. But the thing about the group that gives me a lot of faith is that throughout the season, when they have to dial it in, they've dialed it in really well and defended really well as a group, and that's really what we're relying on. I'd like it to be a little bit more consistent, but we're back into an 82-game season now. You're going to have your ups and downs, and that's sometimes just the way it goes.
What is going through your head though as you're watching that on Wednesday night? I know we are a game-to-game market, but I mean that's your players said it's a game they should be.
I think number one, I was obviously just really disappointed on Wednesday night. I was most disappointed in the fact that in the third period we didn't make any type of push. Buffalo, it shouldn't be a surprise that they're going to play us really well. We went in there in November, and they gave us fits in that game. And now Donnie Granato and their staff have had more time to kind of build in the way they want. If you're a Buffalo fan and coming in here in a week and a half, you have to be thrilled with how hard they're playing. And I mean, to me, they're laying, in front of slap shots, blocking them, and just had a different level of desperation than we had. So, to me, I just think that's the second time in a week and a half where we played a team where, whether we, for whatever reason, in Montreal and at home against Buffalo, where I think we just expected it's going to be easy, and in this league it's not. And so that's something we've got to get cleaned up here.
How is Muzzin coming along?
Pardon me?
How is Muzzin coming along?
Slowly. I mean, we're going to be, he's on LTIR, so it's not an imminent return, and we have to be really careful with him. It's 2 concussions in a very brief amount of time. So we're going to continue to be slow and cautious with him. But to me, it's not one of these things where we're going to try to wait and have him come back in the playoffs. I think a style of player like him, if he's healthy and he's good to go, we need to get him back in and play and get him up to in form before the playoffs.
How frustrating is it when you talked about the game against Montreal and the game against Buffalo?
Yeah.
You stressed since you took over the job, winning the division.
Yeah.
You're back in the race.
Yeah.
For first place. Is it extra frustrating that you're having hiccups against teams where you don't know if you expect to get points, but you should, judging by the standings?
Zeiss, that's 4 points that we've dropped, and if you look at the standings right now, it's an easy math exercise to see where those 4 points would have us. That said, those games are now behind, and we've got an upcoming stretch here. We're at home against Vancouver tomorrow, then we go to Columbus, we're home to Seattle, we have Arizona before the game here. We need to continue to just be developing as a group and improving as a group, and those games, there's nothing we can do now. There are 4 points that we've left off our total, and we need to find a way to make them up.
You mentioned about Vancouver tomorrow. That'll be Wayne's 1,000th game.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, I know you're a big advocate outside the rink for people, what they do in the community, inclusion and stuff like that. Just what Wayne brings and what his journey has been like.
Well, he's not done anything easy his whole way up. Was not a slam dunk coming out of going in the OHL draft to coming into that. He had to go to Brockville, and then make his way to Owen Sound, where Mike Feuda brought him into Owen Sound. I think Chris Byrne was his coach, who scouts now for LA in Brockville, I think. And then Mike brought him into Owen Sound. He went to the Sioux from there. He was just not the same usual path that most other people take to get there. And then, once he's in the NHL, it's as everyone knows, he competes every single night. So that's a hard 1,000 games. Not that it's ever easy, but I think in his case in particular, what he's gone through and how he's gone about it, I think is a great example for every single player in our room and others in hockey. Outside of the rink, he does a lot to try to make the game more inclusive. He speaks on it more than anybody we have on our team. And I think he's just a great example for everyone on our team, but also looking to get into hockey for a person that has gone about it in the most competitive way possible, got every ounce of talent out of themselves. So it'll be, we've only been a small part of his journey with the Leafs. We brought him in here because we felt we didn't have enough players like Wayne Simmonds, and he certainly added a lot to our group, and it'll be a great moment for us to be able to celebrate that as a small part of his journey tomorrow night.
We spoke to you last time. You mentioned that maybe with the way the cap situation, the roster and everything, that you might only have one bullet in the chamber. Has that philosophy changed since injuries or maybe performance or any other things you need to address?
Yeah, I think in terms of the where we're at now, David, it's a lot of it's going to depend on Muzzin's health and where we're at. We still have some quite a bit of flexibility to get creative and try to make something happen, but I don't think we'll have, unless we get the news we don't want on Muzz, I think we'll just have the one move left in us here. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Thanks. Are you more inclined to add a forward than maybe you were a few weeks ago?
No, not at this time. I think if we're going to focus on anything, you're always just trying to make the team better, but I think at this time it'd be more on defense.
How's Rodion doing right now?
Remarkable in terms of his level of optimism and just how happy he is day to day, and the way that he's handled. The way that he's handled the entire thing as a 20-year-old is, to me, you see how optimistic he is, how he's passionate about the fact that he's going to fight it all the way. He's in Germany now. He remains there. He's gone through his first round of treatment. It's remarkable to see and really quite inspiring for I couldn't imagine that happening. You have a 20-year-old, and you never expect to hear that when you have a 20-year-old athlete like that. And we've known about it for quite some time, and he's been so optimistic and optimistic about the fight that he has ahead of him, and he's handled it about as well as you could ever imagine.
Do you know what his path back to hockey is?
Not at this time. It's not a focus at all, Josh. It's very much get healthy. We know he's not going to play here in the short term at all. It's going to be he's not going to play this season, certainly, and we're really, the hockey part is not a huge concern for us right now at all.
Kyle, you have two Russian players on your roster. Have you had to increase security or anything of that nature?
Well, we have. Our director of security is around the team every single day on the road and at home. We've talked to both of the players. There have been no issues reported to them or anything towards they or their families. So we just continue to monitor. They're members of our team, and we care about them and want to make sure that they're safe and that we're taking care of them as best we can. And anything that comes up, they know to report it in right away.
Well, it's been a quiet stretch here for John and William, at least when it comes to the offensive side. How do you assess that second line and the depth offense in general?
Well, I've been really happy with the line of Mikheyev, Camp, Engvall the last couple nights. I think, in Washington, I thought, John's play won us the game. He and Justin Hall combining to make that play to Sandin at the end. I think John and William Nylander, if you look at their totals of the whole season, they're still on pace to have excellent years for us. And they're really competitive, proud people. So to me, I don't even measure so much if they're contributing to us winning, and whether they've scored in every single game or they haven't scored, in a long stretch, to me is irrelevant, because they're both such good players that they can contribute in other ways. And so that to me is the key, and I thought that both have done that. William had scored in back-to-back games there, leading into the game on Wednesday night, and then I thought our whole team Wednesday night just wasn't wasn't there. So yeah, I think they would probably say they expect more from themselves, and it's up to us to try to help them get there.
What about the outdoor game? How much are you looking forward to watching the Leafs play the Sabres here?
I'm really excited about the outdoor game. Yeah, thanks for asking. I mean, I spent a lot of my time here after school, living in Hamilton. My wife's from here. I've spent a lot of time at this stadium and at Ivor Wynn. So it's really exciting for me personally. And I think, the games this year against the Sabres, they just kicked our butt on Wednesday night, and we had a highly entertaining game with them in Buffalo in November. No matter where either team is at, I think the games have always been really exciting, and I think it's great for the city of Hamilton to have the game here, and it's a very passionate sports town, as I've lived firsthand, and so I'm excited to have it here. It's meaningful for me personally, but I think it'll also be a great experience for our team and for both teams to be able to play the game here. So it's something we're really looking forward to, the Saturday night practice and family skate and then get rolling here.
Where's your seats?
There's C6. We moved. We used to be in 215, and then we moved to C6. So a couple years ago, and we used to go to every game. We used to tailgate there at Scott Park before. Those were fun days, for sure. And then both here but mostly at Ivor Wynn. And so it's been. It's a great spot and a lot of good memories here. So it's exciting to come back for this game. Really cool.
Does the outdoor game change any? Are there any dynamics of the outdoor game that changes everything in the flow of where you're at right now? The fact it's so different.
Oh, the wind will definitely have an impact. That's for sure. It's generally pretty windy here, so that'll have a big impact on the game. And then I think, for us, it's not like I think the previous ones we've been a part of been at BMO Field, which was just down the street, and the other one was at Annapolis against Washington, which was very different. I don't know. I mean, we play Arizona on Thursday. We'll have a practice day, and then we'll practice here, and then we're kind of right back at it against Dallas. And with where we're at so late in the season, we can't afford to let it disrupt the flow. So if it disrupts the flow, that's on us. That's not on the game itself and the spectacle itself.
Because I think it's your fourth or fifth trade deadline. There's 4 rookie GMs that have been hired in season. This season, as a rookie, looking back on your first deadline to now, like what would you tell yourself? Not to tell them what to do or anything, but what would you tell you? How much easier does it get easier? Like what did you learn going into your first one compared to now?
Well, the first one we wanted to make the deal early, so we acted. We made a trade. It was well clear of the deadline. It was late January, so a few weeks before the deadline that year for Muzzin. And then we had a few minor things right around the deadline. I think it's and that's the same way I feel. I still feel the same way now. If we could act early, we could. That's the Labushkin deal a few weeks ago with Richie. That was sort of the intention there. So I think acting early, if you can, is best, and not getting yourself right up against the deadline at 3:00 be the key. So.
One more, guys.
What's your history with outdoor rinks, ponds? Like, does this bring back any memories?
Well, we had an outdoor. Well, it was interesting. So this year my little guy, I don't know where he went. He's here somewhere, but there was an outdoor rink right by our house that he spent a lot of time on throughout the winter. But we had an outdoor rink in our backyard every single winter at my grandparents' house. My grandfather would meticulously sculpt it and roll it, flatten it out, and water it. It was about as meticulous a job as you could imagine someone would do on the outdoor rink. So, and then we play out there for hours and hours and hours against, mostly against our family, but against others in the community. And then in the Sioux, growing up, there was tons of outdoor rinks everywhere. So this is not like the traditional outdoor rink, but I think it's still really cool for the guys to be back out in the elements and outdoors. And we usually do that throughout the year. It's kind of been lost during the pandemic, the outdoor practice, but it'd be great to get back out here now.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks very much.